My initial reaction is to say, well, if it's going longer, that might indicate that it's better for Brady. What do you think, Sam?
I think it's better for people who don't want to stay an extra 2 days, as Ian said, because it would spill into Thursday. And it shows me that they're close enough to wrapping it up that they've done the math and said, let's just plow through. Hopefully, caffeine, food, all their needs are being attended to, because that's a long hearing.
Well, that'll happen. But look, I think we can all say if they're making this much progress, if they've got 40 people in a room and they've been there this long, that means people are talking, but also people are listening. I was there at 345 Park Avenue when the Saints players came in for their appellate hearing in the Bounty case. They stayed seriously for about 45 minutes. They went up to the appellate hearing, and they were like, we don't like what we're hearing. We don't want Roger Goodell to be the appellate officer right here, to necessarily be the judge. So we're out. We'll take this to federal court. So I think if we were at those stakes, we would have seen this end a lot earlier. So I think people are pointing out certain things from each side. There are people listening to what each side is saying. And that, to me, is a good point to make some type of compromise on this. Will it end in a 1 or 2 game reduction, suspension? Will it be complete clarity? I don't know, but they're not going this long if they're sitting there bickering back and forth on a hamster wheel and they don't feel that progress is being made.
Well, and very clearly, Roger Goodell wanted to be the one to look Tom Brady in the eye and adjudicate this hearing. And we can get into whether that's a good thing or not, but I know in his mind, he is the commissioner of the NFL. This is perhaps his most important duty, presiding over integrity of the game issues. And I know that he respects Tom Brady, like all of us do, immensely, and wants to look the man in the eye and hear his side of the story. I believe he did have an element of open-mindedness, as he suggested. It may be a tough road, especially when you talk about overcoming the failure to cooperate standard when he didn't give up the phone records. But I agree with you, Steve. It's good that talking is going on. And let's face it, as an NFL community, we've talked so much about this. I think there's a lot of passion on both sides, and it's a tricky situation. But settling it, moving on, and getting back to what the NFL does best, staging great football games, and what Tom Brady does better than virtually anyone who's ever done, playing quarterback, is the end game we're all seeking.
I still don't think it's that easy, because we keep talking big picture right here. If Roger Goodell takes games and he reduces this from 4 to 2, there's going to be players on 31 other teams who are going to be like, there goes the commissioner taking it easy on the Patriots and Tom Brady because...
But there is precedent to reducing suspensions.
Absolutely, there's precedent. But again, let's look at the team and the player. Tom Brady, arguably the greatest quarterback to ever play this game, one of the most popular players in any professional sport. So people are going to say, okay, he can come down on Greg Hardy. He can come down on Richie Incognito. But boy, he's going to back it up here for Tom Brady because he's the superstar. Well, there's going to be people who think that.
This was an offense that was finable by $25,000, and then it's obviously been elevated.
Well, yeah, we could get into all that, but look, Tom Brady's one of the good guys. This is not a great situation when integrity of the game is at stake, but we're talking about Greg Hardy's, Richie Incognito, some pretty serious charges, and it would be good business to have Tom Brady on the field for a maximum amount of games if they can settle this thing. I think 2 or 3 games, you split the difference, failure to cooperate.
It's interesting because one of the things Roger Goodell said during all of the controversy was, I'm not talking about the Flakegate, I'm talking about the Ray Rice situation, some others. We just want to get it right. And I'm sure he just wants to get this right. But to Tom Brady, the only right answer is 0 games. So I wonder how realistic him taking this to federal court is.
Well, Tom Brady hasn't told us that. Tom Brady hasn't said anything except yucking it up at Salem State and an embarrassing from a public relations standpoint.
Through back channels, he publicly he's proclaimed his innocence from the beginning. But through back channels, you hear that Brady believes he is 100% innocent and shouldn't be suspended.
We also heard Robert Kraft would go nuclear and take on the league and go rogue. When it comes down to it, let's see what Roger Goodell rules, and let's see what Tom Brady decides to do. I predict that we'll all move on. He'll take somewhat of his medicine, and we'll argue about this forever, but we'll get back to business.
I'm not so sure about that. I mean, again, I think he wants to, things I've heard, he wants to keep his name clear. Now, is it worth going to federal court? And again, risking getting a court date late in the season, which once he gets back or once he's playing well, could take them out of the playoffs.
And you risk a lot more than that. You risk depositions, being under oath, discovery, phone records discoverable. I don't think it's as simple as I know Patriot fans get mad and go, sue everybody, we'll get our justice. It's an employer-employee relationship, and ultimately, I think it's going to get settled.
Well, there have been many suspensions in the past that have been reduced over the years. We have a list of just a few. One of the first that comes to mind, obviously, is Ben Roethlisberger. You have Ndamukong Suh, who had a one-game suspension overturned. Ray Rice and Adrian Peterson are there. Brandon Merriweather had two games go down to one, and then Deshaun Goldson, Jonathan Vilma. Vilma, was suspended for the entire season, and he famously took that to court.
Went to court.
And it was overturned.
Yes.
And here's just a few others. Will Smith, Fujita, several members of those Saints teams, and then you have Richard Sherman, Roethlisberger, as we talked about, and Brandon Marshall.
Not many of those were reduced by Roger Goodell. They were reduced by a neutral party or a third party or a court. So, again, that's where this dynamic is interesting. Will Roger Goodell kind of go against what he's done in the past, which he's rarely brought down a suspension. Again, they've gone to other avenues to reduce suspensions. Paul Tagliabue came in. We've seen other people come in and reduce these suspensions. So this is some interesting ground. And, again, I think Roger Goodell, like you said, wants to get it right. But the perception, there's going to be people from around the league watching to see if he is going to crack down. And he did crack down on Brady. But if he's going to keep this here, or they're going to say, is it fair?
See, this is so you think this is going to be settled?
You know who'll get over it if Roger Goodell says 2 or 3 games, or even 4? You know who'll get over it? Everyone. Tom Brady.
You think Patriots fans are going to get over a 4-game
players from other teams?
I don't know, man.
I think everyone will get over it.
I'm not so sure.
Robert Kraft got over it, a man who had more to lose on paper than anybody and was livid and wanted to go nuclear. And you know what? He decided to get on with business.
Robert Kraft is in a fraternity of 32 owners.
Too. I was about to say,
and he did that for them more so than anybody else. And I think Tom Brady is now looking at this situation, and it would be good for him and the Patriots, obviously, to get it reduced. I don't see Tom Brady just sucking this up and saying, okay, I'll take 2 games. I'll take 3 games.
You don't think he's – well, it'll be great theater if he doesn't, but it would be better for football and for everything, I believe. Well, if everyone walks away and just says, but we're not thrilled.
Well, sure.
Let's play ball.
In Candyland that happens, but that doesn't happen everywhere.
If Tom Brady came out from the jump and said, look, I didn't mean for all this to happen.
It would already be over.
Then we wouldn't be here.
Well, it wasn't handled.
A time machine would solve all of this, Steve.
Absolutely.